Our joint work tells us that Russian-Turkish relations are becoming special, have a special status, and are recovering fully.
Relations between Russia and Turkey are on the rebound after sinking to a profound low. It happened a little over a year ago when Moscow's envoy to Ankara was assassinated. Andrei Karlov was shot and killed by a Turkish member of his security detail during an art exhibit in the capital. It happened at a time when tensions between the two countries were already high over Syria. Well, Karlov's successor joins me now from Ankara, Ambassador Alexei Yerkhov. Thank you very much for joining me, sir. Relations between the two countries have had their ups and downs over the past few years, a downed jet, an assassination of an ambassador in Ankara. But things seem to be in a good place right now. Are they better than ever when it comes to Turkey and Russia right now?
Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm very glad, let me say I'm very glad to be here tonight with TRT spectators. You know, the Russian-Turkish relations feel extremely well these days. We are really on the same page, as some say, on the same page. We have always been on the same page because our countries were and will be neighbors. Neighbors who deal with each other. Neighbors who trade with each other. Neighbors who even help each other. And of course, we had during the 3 centuries of our relations, the 17th century, the 18th century, the 19th century, someone made a calculation that there was 12 big wars between our countries, not speaking of smaller conflicts. But at the same time, we had good moments of our cooperation throughout all these centuries. Let us remember 1833, when an army sent by the Tsar Nicholas I, saved the empire from the troops of Egyptian Pasha Muhammad Ali. The troops were standing in the Izmir region, and only the presence of Russian troops has saved the empire. In 1921, the young Turkish Republic has requested assistance from the young Soviet Republic, and the assistance was rendered because almost half of the arms used by the Turkish army were provided by the Soviet Republic. So in 1921, the Treaty of Friendship and Brotherhood was signed between Russia and Turkey, the treaty which gave Turkey such reasons as Kars, Artvin, Ardagan, and others. And now we're definitely on the same page of contemporary politics, economy, and international relations. We have really achieved something in this precise period of time. Last year, 2017, we have had a record number of meetings of our leaders, President Putin and President Erdogan, as well as a record number of their telephone conversations. This year, we have already had 3 telephone conversations between Mr. Putin and Mr. Erdogan, and we are going to have their meeting face-to-face very soon in Istanbul.
Right. So if you don't mind, I want to talk, if you don't mind, and my apologies for interrupting you. I sincerely apologize for interrupting you. I don't want to interrupt you, but looking forward, you mentioned Istanbul. Tell me why you think Russia and Turkey, in addition to Iran, I guess, need to drive this process in bringing about peace in Syria when they have that meeting in Istanbul, and why this should be done between the likes of Russia and Turkey and not the West.
Well, let us speak about Syria. The issue is a very big one, a very complicated one, but anyway, when I say we have achieved something together with Turkey, I mean something including what we have achieved in Syria. Last year, Russia Turkey and Iran, we started what we call the Astana process, meaning the process of bringing peace to Syria through the 4 established de-escalation zones, and then through the process of hard and difficult political negotiations, which were started and which will be continued in Geneva under the UN auspices. So it is very important that after having achieved these de-escalation zones, having guaranteed the access of humanitarian reliefs and aid to these zones of former confrontation, it is very important that we together try to move forward the process of political settlement of the Syrian crisis. And you know that we have already managed to convene a Congress in Sochi. Came who came, but the results are evident. The documents which were adopted at the Congress will now be delivered to Mr. de Mistura, the UN Special Envoy, to be used in Geneva talks for the international efforts which are aimed at the constitutional process in Syria, at the electoral process in Syria, and at the end of the fratricide conflict, which this country witnesses for many years now.
Ambassador Yerkhov.
So you say the West?
Yes. Yes.
Well.
Yes, I was just going to ask you. I was going to ask you. Tell me why you should do this and not the West. Tell me.
You know, we started the Astana process, the 3 of us, Russia, Turkey, and Iran, and we have achieved something. And we didn't want to be closed, for this process to be closed and to be prohibited for anyone. You know, we invited all the others who wished to participate in Sochi, the P5, some regional players. Some of them did, some of them didn't want to come. But anyway, we are not closing the process. The Geneva negotiations are meant to be just a complex, to have there a complex of participants, including the West, what you call. And if we start something without the West, well, I don't think it's that means that it is equal to non-success.
Right.
Anyway, I can remind you that Mustafa Kemal Atatürk started the national liberation movement in Turkey without much help from the West, and he succeeded.
Right.
So the West is welcome, but we are also capable of doing something, the 3 of us.
Let me ask you about Russian foreign policy in general.
Any more questions?
Yes. For those who have...
Yes, please.
A nervousness about Russian foreign policy.
Yes,
they see Russia being more expansionist under President Putin. They feel that Russia wants to gain a foothold in the Middle East by supporting Bashar al-Assad in Syria, by giving the West a bloody nose, if you like. And they see Russian expansionism in Ukraine, in the Baltics, and so on. For those who have a nervousness that Russia is becoming more aggressive through the Middle East, through the Caucasus and beyond, as an ambassador to Turkey and an ambassador to the world, what's your response to them?
Well, you know, our foreign policy is guided by some normative documents which were adopted. In particular, you know, we have a foreign policy concept approved by the president 2 years ago. And so I can cite to you the main goals of the Russian foreign policy as set forth in the document. They are, first of all, to ensure the security national security, this national sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Russia, and to ensure the well-being, the prosperity and the sustainable development of the Russian economy. So for those who are scared, for those who are expect that Russia is going to swallow them, as some put it sometimes, I can say only that Russia is not going to swallow or to eat anyone. Yeah. Russia has enough food. By the way, we at the times of the Soviet Union, we really lacked some grain, some agriculture products, and we were buying them at the world market. Now Russia is completely self-sufficient in these products, and we even sell them. So we have enough food, we have enough territory. The territory of Russia is more than 17 million square kilometers. We don't need anyone's territory. We have enough resources. So we are not going to invade anyone. What we seek is our own security. What we seek is our own stability. And what we seek is our sustainable development. So this is concerned what we call the near abroad, meaning the zones which are in the proximity of the state borders of the Russian Federation. It implies also to the Middle East, that implies to the other regions of the world. We are not playing the zero-sum games anymore. What we want and what we search for is our security, our stability, and the realization of our deep national interests. That's more or less what I can tell you.
Ambassador Alexei Yerkhov, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us on the Newsmakers.